So the gearbox I've just pulled out there is a Discovery R380 gearbox, and the gearbox that I've got and the gearbox that this will require is a Defender version. For those of you who don't know, the gear lever is in a different location. So this one has a short stick, is how they, that's sort of the technical term, and the one I want is a long stick. This gearbox I've got here that I'm dealing with is actually in reasonable condition. It's pretty good. Normally the shaft that comes out the back wears. This one's is pretty good, but like I say, it's not the one I want, and I'm going to have to get a reconditioned Defender one, which is sort of where I want to be. The beauty of second-hand Landrover bits, if they're in good condition, they're obviously reusable. They're great to have in stock if you want to keep it in stock and you've got somewhere to keep it, or if you need one for a spare that you're restoring for your Land Rover Discovery. So it's great for that. So the parts I'm taking off is there's a little breather pipe that I was fiddling about with on the other side, and then on this side that's the reverse light switch, and then once I've got that off I'll turn it on its side, and then that bit where my left hand is, that's the engine or the back gearbox stroke engine mounting. I need that, so that's basically going to come off. I'll reuse that for my other gearbox. Now with all these things, so if you were to buy a gearbox, you'd normally get it without the bell housing, which is the silver bit on the front, but that's going to go with it because of course I don't actually need it. My other gearbox has got the bell housing, so but it's one of those things that if you need to really strip off as much as you can, so that you can reuse all the bits, and there's nothing worse than getting what you need and then finding, I've forgotten a piece, and it's now someone else has got it. So that's always the best course of action, is to just take off as much as you can. And of course here you can see me doubling up on my ratchet spanner, which isn't really the recognised method, but it's a method of undoing stuff that's very tight. So I tipped the gearbox, as you saw, on its side, and of course it started leaking oil out the top, which was annoying. So now I've got a load of oil on my garden path, which that's one of the occupational hazards, I suppose, of doing all this type of stuff in your back garden. But fortunately I've got some matting, which you'll see in a bit, which soaks up the oil. So there's the oil spill, which is a good thing in a way, because that gearbox has obviously got oil in it. So it has been sort of sat for a while, but the oils is still oil in there, so would have kept it all in good condition internally. So where possible, I'm putting these bolts back in so that I know where they are, because of course if you take them out, then they're very likely to go missing if or get jumbled up in the rest of the bolts in my bolts box, if you like. So yeah, where possible, always put nuts and bolts back in so you know where to find them, one, and two, you know where they went as well, and the correct ones go in the correct holes, as I said. Also, just making sure that all the gears selected and goes in really nice, actually, funnily enough, which is encouraging. So I'm just covering the Landrover back up again until I've got obviously the gearbox, so I can move on with that, which I'll video. And then I've got a wing I want to get rid of, so I'm going to take some of the bits out of the wing, which unfortunately I didn't place the camera very well, so apologies for that. But I was taking out the plastic like nut certs, if you like, which are useful for so on the Land Rover wing, if you don't know, they've got little square plastic nuts or basically captive nuts, and then you put in your self-tapping screws to screw in like the headlamp and like the inner wing and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I was removing, because they're quite handy to have just knocking about. Using the linesman pliers, really handy for hammering as well as using the plier ends. Anyway, that's towards the end of the video now, so thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you on the next one.